All right, I believe I'm live. Let's make sure we got everything adjusted here. All right, guys, welcome to our channel. And sorry for my tardy starting late here, a few minutes. Texas is having a lot of thunderstorms, and I'm going to blame it on the rain today. So today's video is going to be about veterans, and I've got a lot of important information, including unpublished from the Urban Department of Housing and Development. This video is specifically for you veterans, okay? Not anybody else. So please refrain from questions that are non-related to veterans. Also want to thank you guys, for current and past, alive or dead, for your service. I know I come from a military family. I'm not served myself. So you can always appreciate those that are willing to put their life on the line. All right, guys, the information we'll be going over today will be CFR, Code of Federal Regulation. But to keep it basic, I'm going to discuss with you some of the requirements that are going to be out there, the most efficient way to handle this for housing. And I'm going to dispel some rumors because many of you veterans believe that the only solution in place could be just those that are veterans and homeless and on the street. It's not true. So we're going to go through that. And I also want to do a quick introduction so you understand who I am and how I play into this. I am not a YouTube entertainer, okay? I'm a actual Section 8 consultant, one of the only ones on YouTube, okay? I'm not here to entertain. We're going to be talking again about federal code regulation, policy, procedure, and so on, all the things you need. And I'm also going to empower you, because just because you're a veteran doesn't necessarily mean that the people you're going to go through, including the housing authority or the VA, is going to treat you with any dignity. Okay, let's not be foolish here. And as veterans, we all know the system's tough, so we should keep our minds about us that just because we are veterans, we need to be on a defensive position, especially in terms of dealing with housing and programs and all the problems that can come be associated with it. With the way to treatment people, period. All right, so today, the first thing, and again, I'm going to have to read from notes because though my knowledge is very expansive across most of Section 8, HUD Vash, the rules have changed again, and today I'm going to be going over a lot of unpublished regulation. So the first thing I'm going to do here, guys, is we're going to discuss Code of Federal Regulation Title 24, Parts 982 and 983. This is going to be effective for 2025. I'm going to link you up to that. This is the operable manual in which your PHA or Public Housing Authority and a Veterans Association must abide by these rules, okay? Now, public housing authorities do not really want you to have this kind of information because it levels the playing field. It means you know what they know. I do not want any veteran to be indentured to anybody where you don't know the rules in which you have to play by in order to be able to utilize the system, okay? So this will cover that. It gives you a very defensive position, especially if you're going to have problems with the housing authority and other people that are related to this in the process of getting a voucher. Also, we should make a distinction. You know, HUD Vash does service those that are homeless on the street and so on, but the housing authority offers veteran funding, okay? And that funding does not necessarily require that you be on the street. Okay, as long as you meet income requirements and you have been honorably discharged, then you have a right as an American to be able to do it. If you're dishonorably discharged or for other purposes other than honorably, then you would want to pursue a standard housing choice voucher. Contrary to belief, just because you are a veteran and we're dealing with HUD Vash or Vash funding, and to be clear, the Veterans Association tend to deal more in HUD Vash and the homeless, and we all know about the situation out in LA and California. But housing authorities also have funding for veterans as a preference. In other words, preferences are the singular factors where they look at the age, income, and other characteristics to determine the priority and preference level. And you being preferred as a veteran, higher preference would be a veteran that's a senior, and of course being honorably those that are low income, extreme low income, and moderate income, meeting those requirements. And you already get one of the highest preferences offered across the market, and that's simply by virtue of serving the country. However, it does not, let's not delude the fact that just because you're applying and you're dealing with the PHA, it doesn't mean that this is going to be instantaneous. I can tell you that through the HUD Vash, through the VA, if you talk to them as homeless, they can prioritize you very quickly off the street. Okay, especially if your circumstances don't include active drug use and other things. Let's be honest, there are veterans that have gone on with life, and there are others that still suffer, and that may have placated into them being on the street or possibly being involved in things they shouldn't be involved in, or drug use and other things. That's common for all humans, whether you serve or not. So it depends on the complexity of your case. So let me link you up first, guys, so you can follow along with me. I asked you to bear with me a minute as I pull up these linkage. Now, this is the live video. You can ask any questions you wish during the duration of this. And today's date is 6/12/2025. The video is live and will remain live till about 10:30 Central Standard Time. After that, you're watching a video that has already been published and is a recording, okay? So first up, I want to give you the 37-page manual, okay? This is the most powerful tool you're going to have. This is if you have a problem and you understand operably how the system works. So there's link number 1. Go ahead and take note of that. Print it out if you can, or save it if you wish. Now, number 2, let's cut to the fat here. If you're looking for housing in a voucher right now, immediate emergency, then you need to get over here, which is going to be the VA's Homeless National Call Center. By funding and federal levels, they have to address your issue, and you should have a caseworker within a week. Look, guys, you do not need to contract my office as a veteran to help you. However, if you're having problems or other issues with the housing authority, because again, let's make this very clear. There's HUD Vash, and then there's veterans funding that gives you a priority. You might want my help if you're going to deal with the housing authority. If you're homeless, you're dealing with the VA under HUD Vash. Well, that is what it is. You don't necessarily would need my help. The only reason anybody would need my help is if the system doesn't work properly, or you have fundamental problems with workers, or they try to drag this out, or you're being mistreated, or there's professional misconduct, which is pretty rampant throughout the system. It's rather surprising that it affects even our veterans. You'd think that people would have a little bit more dignity, but we all know just how low the gumbo pot goes when it comes to dealing with housing authorities. All right, so I'm going to link you up to that. They have caseworkers. They're not probably that good. Not as good as me. I can guarantee at 25 years, I'm one of the best and well-known in the nation in terms of doing casework. My failure rate's very low, but when I do fail, people always throw a party. They love to hate me on it, but I can't solve every case, but I solve probably about 98%. Now I'm back to the introductions. My name is Jay. I am the owner of Section8Consulting.com. We work with everybody from legal aid societies, law firms, fly out and do court dates. We do casework for clients. Many people we work with people with mental health issues, people that are gotten in trouble with the law, people that have been released from prison. It's all across the board. I help all types, active or non-active prostitutes. Look, if you're in a circumstance where you're trying to recover, then it's most appropriate to seek help. If you're going to be active and do things that are not appropriate, then my office is going to object to wanting to help you. Okay. I cannot materially help an active drug user or people that are going to commit crimes, because it's going to be a big problem. Okay. But for most of you that are coming to recover, then I can. Okay. So I just want to talk to the other parallel. And those of you that are suffering from grave mental health issues, I'm happy to work with you. And I'll give you one warning about that. I don't mind people with bipolar, schizophrenia, and across the board. Just keep in mind, if you work with my office, wait till you're having your best day in your best frame of mind. Don't reach out to the office when you're having a manic moment and things are pulling apart, because it creates a strain. I'm one of the few, if any, consultant in the nations that will work with people that broadly have a lot of mental health issues, low acuity, and other issues that severely affect their ability. Okay. So if you have a family member they're struggling, then I work with highly complex cases. Pretty good at it, and I can tailor both conversation and casework around the special needs and requirements of people. Now, for those that are ordinary persons that are doing just fine, I'm going to recommend that through the HUD Vash program, if you have minimum requirements. Now, the reason I cannot give you the exact income requirements is because income requirements are based on the different cities. Now, clearly, there are tens of thousands of cities across the U.S. The likelihood of most veterans, even on a veteran's income and retired from the military, the odds are 99% of you are not going to go over the income standard. Now, if you've gone on to be an engineer and you're still active and you're making, let's put it this way, you'd have to make almost $120,000 in California before you'd even be considered not poor. Okay, it's ridiculous. New York's up there, San Francisco. But if you're out and you live in Jackson, Mississippi, or Baton Rouge, Louisiana, like my home city, then your income, well, that's much lower. So they may only consider you qualifying very well. There, probably at around 16 to 24,000 a year is a maximum. And I want to bring up one other issue. Some of the best states for veterans to maximize their money. Texas came in number one, so I'm proud of the state that I live in at this point. I'm not proud of everything politically, but I'll say this. Texas came in as number one. Florida came in, and California. I don't think it's very affordable for you veterans out there in California. It'd be my wish to see many of you possibly consider taking one more trip in life and finding a better place to use your money, okay? California is great for many things, but the cost of living, cost of everything, the very lowbrow treatment of people that don't have a lot in that state concerns me. And I don't think that anybody is going to want to serve and then have to deal with that. All right, so let's get on to requirements here. As I mentioned, we bring that up. So number one, for the VA healthcare eligibility, veterans must be a VA healthcare, have benefits, honorably discharged. You must be homeless or chronically homeless. And explanation of homeless and chronic. Well, a lot of you envision homelessness as literally living under the bridge. It's not true. Homelessness comes, again, in two versions. Homeless could mean that a person's sleeping in their car. It could mean that a person's temporarily housed, whether in a county jail for 30 days or so on. And even if you were to have, for those of you who have a criminal record, it's not necessarily going to affect your ability to get housing. It can affect it if the landlord doesn't like your issue related to arrest record or criminal. But I would say to you that the housing authority doesn't make its basis of that. Now, if you are a veteran or otherwise, and you are a sex offender, been convicted of trafficking or use of methamphetamine, that's going to be a problem, okay? Whether you're current or active, arrested or not, booked and charged or not, okay? The reason I'm talking in broad terms is because I need to be able to address broadly all the things that could be mixed into your case. So I see there's a few comments here. I'm kind of bouncing around because I have the video at an angle here. Sally, good morning and welcome to our channel. In office, there is no more. What are my next steps? Well, to be honest with you, Sally, I don't understand the context of your question. It's open-ended and it doesn't actually ask a question that I can answer. You mentioned an office. I don't know what you mean. So Sally Richard goes on, no more Section 8 to sign up for. Well, that you may feel that that's your opinion, but I can assure you there's millions in funding for vouchers right now, roughly 30 million. So I think that maybe there's a potential, Sally, that you're misinformed, or maybe you live in an area where the housing authority is closed, not offering. But that's certainly not the circumstance nationwide, okay? I'm not trying to admonish you. I'm just stating what is reality. We do check with both HUD, Congress, House of Representatives, and the White House. And I track this stuff very carefully through Code of Federal Regulation, new policy, procedures, and manuals, including administrative plans. So you're not going to find somebody that knows it better than myself unless they are an executive at HUD's building. And even then, I could probably give them money for their money, okay? Moving on from there, let's see. So income restriction veteran must meet the income limit set by their local PHA. As I mentioned, HUD has recently raised the initial income eligibility threshold to 80% of the area median income. For those that aren't a math whiz or those that don't deal in math a lot, okay, including myself, I wasn't very good at trigonometry and everything else, but area median income, if the area of people, your zip code, most people are earning around 100,000 and you've got a 80% AMI, it just simply means that the maximum income you could earn for that area, that zip code, that county as a state would be Out of 100,000, 800,000. Okay, so simple deductive math. 80% AMI. That's pretty damn good. And it actually becomes rather extreme when you get in places where it's really expensive to live. I mean, 80% of $200,000 income in San Francisco would be pretty extreme. You would probably be a doctor and still consider poor. Okay, so that's pretty good for you veterans. It's not always the same. It's 60% AMI for the average bear. And what I mean by average bear, me coining my own phrase here, I just mean that it's people that are non-veterans. Okay. Moving on from there, some PHAs already adopted a higher threshold. So on top of that, now another unique thing is, I'm going to bring this up. It's not related, but landlords that want to accept veterans usually can get 125% AMI. That's pretty good. I mean, that's extreme, which means it really makes you attractive as a renter. And so 125% AMI. So if you're a landlord accepting wanting veterans with a request for tenancy, which is really just a professional name for accepting your voucher, it makes you an attractive person to have in a rental property. Okay. So there's lots of advantages here if you understand how to utilize them. And of course, you need to know the rules. And that's what we're going over. And I'm also linked you up to that. So why don't I put in those links again for you guys? So 2 different links here, where to go and what are the rules. Put that in. Right below Sally Richards' comments. There we go. So there's your linkages. So you can look at this and view it at your own pleasure and at your own pace. All right. So they offer case management services. It's run of the mill. They don't really specialize in Section 8. However, they have a thorough understanding of HUD Vash and veteran funding. But again, I want to reiterate this because many of you don't. This doesn't seem to stick to your bones. HUD Vash was designed for homelessness, as we described, homelessness or chronic homelessness, where you're homeless more than once in a year. And chronic regular homelessness is a circumstance where you have a one-off event where a house burned down, had a flood, maybe Hurricane Katrina hit you, or you had some snowstorm up north, okay? And you have a certain period of time that you might be potentially homeless, typically a year or less, okay? So moving from that particular part, there are some additional considerations, but the reality of it is 98% of the veterans currently could receive HUD Vash. The veterans that go to the housing authority for a housing choice voucher with a preference for veterans, which is different, that could go into anywhere from a couple of months to a couple of years, depending on your ability, because you're not granted a lot of preference in terms of the whole crowd. So if you go to the housing authority, hey, I'm a veteran, I've got more preference than all these other people here that are non-veterans, give me a housing choice voucher. Yeah, you're going to get a higher preference and you'll be categorized highs, but I'll tell you, you probably will need the help of somebody to help boost your case, okay? So unlike HUD Vash, you really have to be the driving force behind your case, and being the 3 big factors that they're being considered is veterans, homelessness, chronic homelessness, domestic violence, VAWA, which is VAWA for Domestic Violence Against Women's Act, and those that are disabled. And disabled, we can have a whole conversation on disability, but the reality of there is your disability, whether you're missing an eye and a leg, like a 2-piece chicken box, you got 2 pieces in there, was an eye and a leg or an ear and a toe, they only consider the factor of disability once. Even if you're mentally ill and physically ill, you only get the preference once as disabled. Also, many of you don't even realize that you are disabled in one way or another because of a matter of pride or a matter of just not knowing. There are many things that qualify under HUD as disabled that would not qualify as disabled when you go out and try to get a Social Security check, okay, or a disability check. So those standards from HUD are much lower for disability than they would be if you went to the Social Security Administration and said, hey, you know what? I'm disabled. Can I get a check? So it's different. And of course, that plays out very much differently because, you being a veteran, you're additionally receiving funds from the military for your time. And it could be compounded by other issues. So the reality is most of you could qualify. So the linkage we put in the bottom there will connect you to their form of caseworker. If that doesn't suffice, so you just don't like the general attitude of these people and you don't feel like you're getting that far with it, reach out to my office. We'll try to help you. Sorry about choking. Also, remind everybody this is my channel. I will speak in the terms that I wish. I'm not going to be corrected by anybody, okay? If you're displeased with my coughing, the way I look, or anything else, tough shit. You know, I say that to everybody. I know I've had a few people try to critique me. Look, I've been in this business too long. I won't be critiqued by anybody. You get your ass handed to you, okay? I don't play. This is the reason why I have 500 reviews, people raving about what I do. I'm highly effective, and for housing authorities, I am highly dangerous. Just short of burning the building down when they do you bad. Okay. I got a meeting today with a couple of attorneys regarding a lady's case, and I can tell you when I get finished with them, the only thing left will be ashes. If it's up to me, we'll get a federal indictment. Especially when we have housing authorities that are operating and they're insolvent, they've stolen the money. We're hiring prostitutes to work as caseworkers in these housing authorities and all kinds of stuff. That shit needs to stop. You see the way my eyes change, it's aggravating. Then watching this happen to a senior or veteran really makes my blood boil. So I hate to bring that into this video, but I just wanted to be clear that in terms of dealing with the system and navigating it, you have to take a hard approach, and you cannot wear your feelings on your shoulder. Don't walk into this with a sense of entitlement, because you may walk out with your feelings hurt. Okay, not everybody on this planet is here to help, whether you worked or not. And let me make one other thing clear: we are Americans. You're not ashamed to go get your Social Security check out the mail. You earned it, right? Because you worked. You're a veteran. You fought in the war, or maybe you fought behind a desk. Who knows? But you took that gamble without knowing. The reality of it is, as a red-blooded American, you have every damn right to not feel ashamed in any way, to be able to utilize what's afforded to you as an American when you pay taxes, and that's to be able to use the system. So I would tell you, don't ever in any way believe that you are a shame or burden to this damn country, ever. And I can't impress that enough. All right, so Freakout Tent. I like that name. Sounds like you'd be an interesting interesting person to talk to. I love Popeye's 3-piece combo. There you go. Well, you know, my South Louisiana humor at times can be interesting. You should hear the story about the prostitute walking in the ditch with one flip-flop hoping for a voucher. I often have these unusual examples, but you know, it brings a little character and fun into this. Okay. It makes no difference if I offend your religion. We're here. We need to be able to tell the truth. We live in a world where we sensitize everything. You know, we live in little plastic bubbles. Oh, well, you said a profanity. My religion's hurt. I'm going to go to the church and pray for you. Look, nobody's got time for that shit. Okay. Everybody believes in something, but we need to desensitize. You're dealing in a real system where people can abuse you, victimize you, and don't care. Okay. And if my job is to sugarcoat everything that I tell people, then all I'm doing is setting you up for failure. Regardless of mental health issues or whatever it may be that you're going through, you need to be prepared, and you need to be able to hear the truth clearly, even if it offends you. That way you're properly informed. You know, if I'm providing the manuals to code of federal regulation and how to navigate a very nasty system, I take that good advice. Or you can flip over to Nancy's fidget spinner channel, where she thinks she's now a master consultant today. Or you can go to Bob's channel. He's going to be selling $1,000 books that are full of bullshit. I have seen the actors on YouTube. None of these people know anything. They've never read a policy, a procedure, any federal regulation. I would compare them to clowns you'd find at a children's party. Okay, I don't mean to admonish anybody on YouTube, but really, you don't have any business discussing anything about Section 8 unless you've actually went out there, taken the time to understand the principal rules of it. And sitting here and charging people for scammy little programs, videos, and tutorials is nuts. Okay, even the Section 8 books I've read are just garbage. I could have written a book already. I mean, one book I read, the Section 8 Guide to the World or whatever, it recommended you bring the housing authority pizza. So it's suggesting that you basically go over and bribe the housing authority people with a pop and a pizza. Now, do you really want to take advice from people like that? That's incredible. And they got published, and people are buying. They gobble that shit up. you as veterans, look, you guys, you need housing. It's a real issue, and I'm certain the current president, like most of the presidents we have, they want very much to house you. I want to see you house. You don't deserve to be treated like trash. And if you do, I swear to God, let me tell you something. I will put a lot of pain in the world of anybody that messes with a veteran in terms of housing. Okay. So I've enjoyed talking with y'all today. I know we've had some light tones and some heavy tones. I will be back tomorrow. We're going to talk a little bit more in depth. And what I'd like to discuss with you guys is modifications and accommodations. I think we should get to the root of this because many of you need extra rooms, you need extra rent, you need to add an extra person as a live-in aid. So we're going to get into the details. That may be a multi-video. We may do multiple videos about that because there's a lot of branches on that tree. But I want to start with the basics because I get a lot of calls about this, and you guys think it's a shopping list. I don't mean you veterans. I just mean in general. Look, there are rules, and if you don't know the rules to play by under Code of Federal Regulation through their administrative plans, then you're putting in requests for modifications and accommodations that are unrealistic, or you're putting it in a non-professional way. And so the housing authority giggles and then throws it in the trash and denies you because you're missing the formal parts that you should address to do this properly. Okay. It's the job of the housing authority to offer you a gold bar and then giggle when they deny you for it. Okay. They're just like an insurance company. We're here to help you as long as you come, but we're really not going to give you anything unless you fight really hard for it. Okay. So everything about this system is difficult. It can be a little bit long. It can be strenuous, stressful. And the very people that administrate this, housing authorities, the VA, it's not their job to teach you. Okay. They're not going to discuss the rules, the playbook with you. My job is to give you the playbook and make sure you have a weapon to fight with if you got problems. Well, I've enjoyed talking with y'all, and I want to thank all of you for your service and serving our country. And I want to thank all those that in the past have died for our country as well. I will see you guys tomorrow at 10 a.m. Central Standard Time, and we'll continue our path on trying to get through the entire system of Section 8. I'm going to hit a lot of areas. I'm sure all my copycats are watching. They'll probably I've got several of them that almost copy my videos. I think it's cute, but go ahead if that's what you need to do. All right, guys, I've enjoyed talking with you. See you tomorrow at 10 a.m. Central. Bye-bye for now.